While walking through the wooded areas around his house, Allan discovered an old abandoned car. But there were fresh footprints around it, and she found her daughter's special doll inside. Then someone came shockingly close to him. Allan lived in Hood River, Oregon, and enjoyed walking for hours in the woods around his home. Picked cherries and watched birds as much as possible. It kept him calm, and even though it was a solo activity, he felt less alone in the woods than at home. Before we continue, please take some time to subscribe to Dailydose, like, and share this video with your friends. But one day while walking, he came across a new path that led him to an abandoned car in the woods. That was weird. This was by no means a safe area for the road, but the car looked old and damaged. It must have been there for years. He still approached her as he felt curious for some unknown reason. He noticed that there were fresh tracks around it, so maybe someone actually lived in that car. Near the vehicle were some shoes, clothes, and the remains of a fire. "Yeah, someone definitely lives here," he nodded and looked inside the car for a closer inspection. He was about to leave, go home and call the police, but something caught his attention. Inside the car was a doll. Usually, this wouldn't be a problem. However, this toy was unique. It wasn't from a store, and only one person in the world could have it. Susan's daughter. It was her doll. His ex-wife, Laura, had made it especially for their daughter. She even had a tag with Susan's name and address in case she lost it because their little girl liked to take it with her everywhere. "But why is he here?" Allan asked in complete shock. Allan hadn't heard from his wife or daughter in months. Their divorce was not pretty, and Laura was awarded full custody of their child. Allan didn't want to hurt his child by fighting for more visitation and taking her mother to court, so he accepted and tried to move on with his life, knowing that Laura was at least a great mother. They lived in Seattle, so it was a bit far from them. Laura kept their house, and they were supposed to live happily there, but did someone steal her daughter's doll? What happened? He tried to open the car door, which was a bit stuck, but finally succeeded and grabbed the doll. He confirmed it was Susan's toy because of the tag and looked around the forest feeling lost. Did something happen to his daughter? Why didn't Laura call him? Allan looked inside the car, rummaging through the dirty and discarded items inside, but stopped when he heard a voice. "What are you doing?" A female voice surprised him, but he immediately realized who was speaking. Laura. Allan stood up from the car and looked at his ex-wife, who was tightly holding their daughter's hand. They looked disheveled, and Laura was almost scared. But the little girl took his attention away from his ex-wife's face as she recognized him. "Daddy!" she shouted, and came to hug him. He bent down to hug his daughter, giving her the doll and smiling at her. "Hi, sweetheart." "Did you come after us, Daddy?" the little girl asked, and Allan nodded, though he had no idea what she meant. "Laura, what's going on here?" Allan asked after standing back up. She looked around, seemingly ashamed of herself, and spoke directly to Susan. "Honey, why don't you get in the car for a minute? I need to talk to Daddy." Their daughter complied, and Allan closed the car door gently as he got in, then looked at his wife. "Okay, what's going on?" he asked again, his hands raised slightly to his sides. Laura pursed her lips, crossed her arms, and her face showed a deep pain that Allan had never seen. This was not the strong but stubborn woman he had known. Something was going on with her, and she needed to know. "Laura, you know you're always safe with me. We're divorced, but you're the mother of my child. Tell me, please," Allan comforted, speaking more softly so Susan couldn't hear anything. Finally, he began to speak. "My boyfriend, well, ex, the one I left you for, changed as soon as we got married. It was hell. But I took him in. It was a disaster. Well, he kicked us out of the house, and we've been here for a few weeks now." Allan raised a frustrated hand to his forehead. "What? He kicked you out? How is that possible? Did you call the police?" "He threatened me and Susan, so I had to leave immediately. I didn't care about our things," continued Laura, tears streaming down her face. "Why didn't you call me?" Allan asked, pained that his ex-wife and daughter had been sleeping in an abandoned car for weeks. "I was ashamed, okay?" she lamented quietly. "I didn't want to call you, especially since we split up after I met him. And I was so cruel to ask for full custody of Susan. I didn't know how to face you. I was such an idiot. I'm so sorry, Allan." He rushed to her and hugged her tightly. Susan saw them and pushed the door open to join the embrace. "I want a hug too, Mommy," she said in her little voice. Allan made a decision at that moment while holding these women in his arms. They would never be alone again. So he took them home and called a lawyer who arranged for the police to remove Laura's husband from their property. They also initiated divorce proceedings. After completing that complicated process, Laura decided to sell the house because it held too many painful memories. She had made too many mistakes in her life there to keep it. Furthermore, Allan assured her that they could stay with him as long as necessary. She apologized almost every day and began sewing dolls again. She made one that looked exactly like her and one like Allan, labeling them with their names. Susan loved them and always kept the three dolls together, symbolizing their reunited family. Eventually, Allan and Laura spent so much time together that they fell in love again and remarried. Susan was the flower girl at the wedding. Their family would never be separated again.